Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hit or Miss podcast, to the continuation of our second series. Hopefully, by now you've all heard and enjoyed our slightly raucous first episode from series 2, in which we spend.
I tell you what, Kylie didn't.
No, she's not speaking to us, and any Australians in the audience probably aren't either. Moving on. Welcome back. We're back. Myself, obviously, you know, I'm Mike. Hello there. I'm joined by my co-host Andy once again.
Hello.
Andy's very tired because he decided that the best thing to do the night before a podcast is just not sleep. So, yeah. But so if he seems a little bit lower energy than usual, which is still probably a regular person's hyperactive, but that'll be why. And we're thrilled to be joined by our first returning guest for Series 2. You'll have heard him before. You've heard our slightly contentious opinions about Christmas specials last series. Welcome, Mr. Xander Grogan. Xander.
Hello.
How are you? Thunderous applause. Woo! How are you doing, man?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well.
Good. It's good to have you back. Just quickly, I wanted to check in with everyone and see how we were doing and stuff. There's not really anything in the way of news to talk about this week. We discussed most of it last week. But I did want to say, first of all, a huge congratulations to Will, the overlord of the podcast, the creator of us all, who's been accepted for a place at university. So, well done.
Hope you enjoy all that student debt.
Yeah, because student debt is just so fantastic with me at uni.
I just love the fact that he's already so on brand that he put the tweet out saying, I've been accepted for a place at uni, so I look forward to being unemployed in 3.5 years.
Oh, I know. That was marvellous. That was great.
Will, you're going to love it. You're going to crush it, mate. I'm sure you'll do really well, but we're all really proud of you, by which I mean me, Andy, and I'm assuming Xander. So
yeah, absolutely. He was the master one who made all the Chaser games and everything.
Yeah, that's at Who Game Shows, I should have said, in case you were wondering who I'm on about. But then again, if you don't know that by now, come on. So, just bear with me, because Will also did chime in. He let me know his opinions on all the episodes we're reviewing, now that he knows what they are, and asked me if I wouldn't mind dropping them into the podcasts. So since we didn't have Will with us last week, he has left me a review and said that he thinks Torchwood Children of Earth is a 10 out of 10. So it's not going to be included on the main leaderboard because, you know, it's not really fair to do that. But yeah, Will apparently a huge fan of Children of Earth. I won't give his views on this episode until the end. That'll cover about all the news we've got, which is more of a personal side things, unless either of you have anything you wanted to say about preferably the worlds of Doctor Who.
No.
I enjoyed all the snow this week.
Yeah, I didn't, but okay. That's fair enough.
Oh, I love snow.
You're the only one.
Maybe that's because I don't drive.
I just used to. I've still got traumatic memories about trying to get to work through the snow when I worked miles and miles away. Not good. Well, so moving to the next section, then I did remember this time, Andy, to write out an On This Day section. So this particular episode will be airing on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. Happy Day of Love to all you people who I'm not at all bitter about who actually have somebody. So
Thank you, Mike.
You're very freaking welcome.
My God, we'll be coming up to 7 years soon.
Wow, congrats. When's your anniversary, by the way?
15th of March.
Oh, that's so weird. Awesome. Cool.
Well, we're not married, but we've been together for that long.
No, I meant like, you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because we got together when I was 17 and now like I'm going to be 25 this year, which is kind of like, it's almost like I've spent a third of my life with like a third of my life has now been spent with Phil, which is like such a weird thing to think about, but also really nice.
All right, we don't need to hear anymore. Don't rub it in. All right.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean for it to come across like that. If you want to take it that way.
It didn't. That's just me being bitter. But yeah, so to get to the matter at hand, on this day, 14th of February, we are doing a Doctor Who podcast, believe it or not. So on this day, in let's see, On this date in 1970, the episode 3 of Doctor Who and the Silurians premiered on BBC One. I think we gave our opinions last week about that when we talked about episode 2, Andy, didn't we?
Xander didn't know.
No, that's true. So, Xander, thoughts on episode 3 of Silurians?
Or just that story in general?
Or just that story.
I was going to say, I think it's been a while since I saw Doctor Who and the Silurians. It's an overall good story. I think it's the only good one where the Silurians are actually in it, because it's a case of every other episode we get them, they get remodeled and they become even worse.
That's probably fair, actually, yeah. And I'm still not even a fan of that episode. I think 7 parts is stupidly too long for it. And
that's a really long story, isn't it?
Yeah, it just sags horribly in the middle. So, yeah.
It's not the longest, though. Look at War Games.
I was going to say the War Games is 10 parts, but I feel like a lot happens in the War Games.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm getting to it. I'm 3 episodes away, so
you need to.
We're nearly there. I've got to. I was just telling Will I've got to get through the special features on Fury from the Deep this weekend. Then I've got the Dominators, then the Crotons, then the War Games that I haven't seen, and that'll be all the Troutons. So
you've got Seeds of Death as well.
Yeah, no, I've already seen that. I'm just going through the ones I haven't seen already. So those are those ones. I've already seen Seeds of Death and Space Pirates, so don't have to worry about them. So, yeah. Anyway, on this day in 1976, the episode The Seeds of Doom Part 3 premiered. I haven't seen it since last week when I mentioned. So any thoughts?
I mentioned that I really like The Seeds of Doom. I thought it was very good.
Xander?
I love The Seeds of Doom. The Crinoids need to come back. They're a monster that really do need to return.
Yeah.
I actually do kind of agree with that sentiment, just because I feel like it'd be really interesting to see how they'd make them in modern Doctor Who with, like, obviously a bigger budget.
Well, they'd first have to bring back the axons, then spray paint them. That's basically how they did it the first time. So
I suppose that's how they could do it.
True, but like, I'm kind of curious as to whether they'd go like, full on CGI, or if they'd go a bit more interesting and go a bit more like an animatronic puppety sort of route. That could be kind of interesting.
It would probably be just CGI, like whatever that horrible green thing is that's in the jail in Revolution of the Daleks, which looks a bit crinoidy. So I would feel
that's the thing. They never revealed what that was.
Yeah.
We had people thinking it was either Megalos or the Vinvoci, or it was a version of a Varga plant from, I think it's Mission to the Unknown or Dalek's Master Plan. One of them. They never confirmed it.
Who knows? But we can headcanon and just pretend it was a crinoid, I guess. And
do you pronounce it crinoid? Because I say crinoid.
I haven't seen the episode. I'm just going off what I read.
I say crinoid.
Well, there you go.
This is going to be like scone and scone for Doctor Who fans.
On this day in 1981, The Keeper of Traken Part 3 aired. And yes, I pronounce it Traken before you start.
I would pronounce it Traken.
It is. It's Traken.
There you go then. So, we discussed it last week. I said I really like that episode, and I think, Andy, you came down on the side of it as well.
Yeah.
You fans, Xander?
I've never seen The Keeper of Traken.
You haven't? Wow.
No.
So
it's in my collection. I've got a great big Doctor Who cabinet with also my bottles of booze just to get through law. But all of them are in there. I'm waiting for 2 more. Hopefully they're coming this afternoon, fingers crossed. That's Gunfighters and The Awakening. And then I've got every classic Doctor Who story to man.
Awesome. Cool. I take it you don't have the Blu-ray sets?
Actually, I've got 4 steelbooks.
Oh, cool. I'm on about the collections, but yeah, the new
Oh,
series.
No, I don't know. I might get season 23 because it's Child of a Time Lord and, well, lawyer. I love Childs.
Awesome.
But, maybe. I don't know. It's pending.
Awesome. I only ask because I know that...
I'm sorry. It makes complete sense, so I don't know why I found it funny, but just your explanation of why you want Trial of a Time Lord is, I'm a lawyer, I like trials. For some reason, that really amused me.
It's perfectly logical if you've slept. Birthdays on this day. Simon Pegg will be 51. He was born on the 14th of February in whatever year.
Simon Pegg is not 51. What?
He'll be 51 today. So, yeah, he's got 17 various credits, but mainly the editor in The Long Game, of course.
In Doctor Who, yeah?
Yeah, the director...
Can I take a moment just to mention my favourite Simon Pegg thing?
Provided it's appropriate.
It's not like inappropriate. It's a very short sketch that he did, I think, on the BBC. That's just he's playing this like old 1960s, 1970s dad, I think, and he's like weirdly obsessed with Billy Piper. If you've seen that sketch, it's very funny.
I haven't. It's weird.
No me.
Oh, I'll try and find the link. It's quite funny.
Awesome. You'll have to link us, yeah.
I will link you. It's very funny.
Cool. That's the second week in a row I've been sent a comedy sketch I hadn't previously seen. Anyway, the director, Michael A. Bryant, will be 79 today. He's got 10 credits, but the notable one that it gave on the page was Death to the Daleks, which is an unfortunate top credit, but I know he did others, so let's not blame him for that one. And Mark Eden, who sadly passed away this year, would have been 93. He's got 3 credits, but most notably, of course, playing Marco Polo in Marco Polo. And you might know him from Coronation Street. He was Alan Bradley, I think his name was, which I didn't realize they were the same person until he passed away and I read it. So, R.I.P. Mark Eden, he would have been 93, though, so good life. And on the subject of kind of sad losses and things, the actor Nicholas Hawtrey passed away on this day in 2018. 2 credits, including Quinn in The Power of the Daleks, a story which I really like, but doesn't seem to be getting a load of love on Twitter these days. And the actor Neil Seeler, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Seiler, passed away on this day in 2003, aged 77. He has 2 credits, including Commander Stewart in Death to the Daleks, the aforementioned story that's not very good. But we're sure his work in it is fine. And that'll cover, I think, the on this day up until the following important behind-the-scenes events. That's not very much. On this day in 1964, 500 Eyes was recorded at Lime Grove. That's an episode of Marco Polo. And on this day in 1969, pre-filming for The Space Pirates continued on stage 2 at Ealing. So nothing super exciting, just a couple of random factoids there. So, I don't think I've actually heard either of you guys' opinion on The Space Pirates before, have I?
I don't think I haven't seen it.
Haven't you? Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't technically exist. It would have to be a recon, but I was just curious. Have you seen it, Andy?
No, I've not. No, I've not seen it.
It's not a popular story, but it's one that I actually quite enjoyed. So, yeah. So, if everybody's happy with that and everything's covered, I'll move on to the hit or miss section. This week, because we've got a slightly shorter, hopefully, review, I have got 10 hit or misses. So are we all ready to give our opinions?
I'll try and keep my answers concise, because I've noticed a trend with these episodes is it's all the ones that I'm on where we go ridiculously long just because I derail us all the time, like I'm doing right now.
No, that's fine. It's not that bad. And believe it or not, I mean, we managed to review all 5 episodes of Children of Earth and still took less time than we did for Ascension of the Silent Intention.
Yeah, that one was very long.
So, yeah. Just bear with me because I have to just prod my co-host, the soundboard, and make sure that it's ready for my opinion. It's here somewhere, I'm telling you. Soundboard for Doctor Who. Hello, soundboard. How are you doing today?
Absolutely. Imagine if it talked back to you.
Good. It just did. So, the very first hit or miss. Hit or miss, gentlemen, and we'll go, as we normally do, we'll go guest, then Andy, then me. So hit or miss your opinions on the character Sky from the Sarah Jane Adventures Series 5. Xander.
Now, for the stuff that we actually got on television, it was a case of she was a really lovable character, and she was a really, really good replacement considering that Luke left.
Yeah.
What we would have got, sadly, if Elizabeth Sladen hadn't fallen ill and unfortunately passed away in April, which is actually 10 years. It's going to be 10 years in April, tragically, April 23rd.
Yep.
If Series 5 had been a full series and we got what Sky would have been, I think it would have been a fantastic series finale for Series 5.
I'm glad you also know about this, because I was going to mention it.
The Trickster's daughter and the whole battle for Bannerman Road. And
whoa.
Joe
I had
Grant.
no idea about that. That's the first I'm hearing, and now I'm intrigued.
It's on the wiki. It was a proposed plan. So episode 4 was going to be the 13th floor, where Rani and Clyde were going to get trapped in a hotel, I think it was, and they lived out their life, and it was revealed that they would actually be a couple. And then the Battle for Bannerman Road, episode 5, would have revealed that Skye was the trickster's daughter, and that her dark side would have woken up, and it would have had Joe Grant, it would have had the shopkeeper, it would have had Ace return. So Sophie Aldred, she would have made an appearance, and everything would have just been explosive. Unfortunately, we never got it, tragically.
So, in terms of what we actually got, then would you say hit or miss for Skye?
Hit. Definitely hit.
Okay, all right, awesome. Andy, your thoughts?
I'd also give her a hit for what we did get of her. I am kind of gutted we didn't get the Battle of Bannerman Road, because that would have been incredible. One episode I think Xander didn't mention that. I'm sure I read there was one where they were going to bring Mr. Smith to life, or like give him a body.
Smith, that's it. That would have been episode 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's kind of a shame because, like, Series 5, at least in my opinion, I don't know if we'll get to those at any point. Series 5 was fine, but because it was so short, it's kind of difficult to really review it alongside the other 4. But I feel like if we'd have got those final 3 stories, it might have been the best series, because those last 3 sound incredible, and I'm so gutted we never got them.
Sounds like it, yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm probably gonna have to be the one that isn't particularly well liked, but when it comes to Skye, I've got to say, yeah, I'd have to give it a miss from what we saw, because for me, it's Scrappy-Doo syndrome. It's like introducing the annoying sort of, new kid character last minute who, fair enough if we were going to get something great, but in the 3 episodes we got, didn't do a whole lot and just seemed like square peg round holing a new Luke in. But maybe that's just me. Either way, with a 2-1 consensus, we're still calling Skye a hit. And by the way, this isn't. I
feel like. So I was just going to say, I feel like the reason I like her is just because my most rewatch episode of Series 5 is The Curse of Clyde Langer, and I feel like she kind of pulls her weight in that one quite a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Fair enough. I mean, this isn't me trying to poop on the actress, but by any means, who did a really good job. It was just that, like you see in the stories we got, there wasn't a lot there. But then again, I understand now why, if there was a plan down the line, which would have completely changed my opinion. But sadly, real life sometimes gets in the way. But yeah, so that's I would say that's a hit, 2-1 for Skye. So number 2 on the list, hit or miss, Fury from the Deep, since I've just watched it. Xander.
I haven't fully watched it, so I don't really have a massive view.
Have you seen any of it at all, or?
I've seen 2 episodes. I watched it at uni before lockdown. Yeah, hit for what I saw.
From what you saw. Okay. Cool. That's fair enough. And you, Andy, have you seen Fury from the Deep?
I think I mentioned last week, but the second Doctor and the Sixth Doctor are the main Doctors that I really haven't seen that much of, so no, I haven't actually seen Fury of the Deep, I'm sorry. That's
fine, no problem. Well, fair enough. Yeah, okay. Well, then it's just going to be me raving for a second, because I'll say...
absolutely fantastic.
I really liked Fury from the Deep. I was surprised, because I was a bit cautious going into it, because I wasn't sure I would like it for some reason. And obviously, I'm talking about the animated version here. It was the animation that I watched, not a recon or anything. And it was surprisingly good. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. And I think reading about the changes that they made for the animation, I think they've actually improved the story quite a bit. Little things like taking what would have been just one actor as the villain at the end and making it like everyone who's been taken over, because you can just animate the people there, I think has really helped the story to have a bit of scope. But even, regardless of what they've added, little things like the last episode, how crazy ambitious they were with what they filmed. There's like a whole sequence with the Doctor and Jamie flying a helicopter and stuff. And I'm like, I want them to find these episodes, because how did they pull that off? I mean, they must have been actually in helicopters and stuff, and must have just been crazy. But yeah, regardless, I really liked Fury from the Deep. So it's a hit from me, but we can't really say one way or the other because, well, I'm the only one that's seen it. Which is a rare place for me to be. So yeah. So the third hit or miss that I have here is trying to group a few things together. It's the New Year specials / episodes. So what I mean by that is Resolution, Spyfall Part 1, and Revolution of the Daleks. So overall, Xander, hit or miss?
Can you press the button on your soundboard, please?
Which one?
Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
There you go.
They're all brilliant. Spyfall was a fantastic way to start the series. I love Sacha Dhawan. I love him as the Master. It's brilliant. And the fact is he's even got a connection to Sarah Jane Adventures because he's dating
Angela Mahindra.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's a nice connection. Revolution of the Daleks, brilliant. And anyone who says it isn't deserves clubbing. Overall hit.
Awesome. Cool. What about you, Andy?
So just to clarify, it's the 13 Doctor specials.
Yeah, all three, basically, I'm trying to group together. To see if
definitely a hit. I feel like... I don't know where I'd rank Spyfall and Resolution. I feel like Revolution is the best one, but they're all great. They're all pretty great.
Yeah.
I think I'd give... No, I'm not scoring them. Why would I score them in case we review them later? But yeah, it's definitely a hit. They're all three are very good episodes. If you take Spyfall Part 1 as its own thing, because at least in my opinion, Spyfall Part 2 let it down, but Part 1 was brilliant. So yeah, all three are really good, so it's a definite hit.
Okay, well, that's going to be quite boring for any viewers, but I also say...
Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with literally everything you guys have said, pretty much entirely. All three are good. Revolution's probably the better of the three. I don't think there's a bad one. So simple as that, really. 3 hits, I think. So moving on to number 4, hit or miss for the character of Lady Christina D'Souza. And just full disclosure, I've only actually seen that one episode. I haven't heard any audios or stuff. But firstly, Xander, your thoughts?
Again, same category. I haven't seen anything in terms of Big Finish or anything, but she was good in Planet of the Dead, and I just really wish she'd become a full companion, but tragically, no.
Yeah. There's no reason why not, of course. There wasn't like there was a real life tragic reason or anything. She just didn't.
No, I think it was just basically that the Doctor didn't take thieves, just the same categories he doesn't take soldiers. Because he would have taken Journey Blue and Into the Dalek, but he said, I just wish you hadn't been a soldier.
Fair enough.
I don't think he likes to take anyone who's a thief or a soldier or anything. Case in point, though, Captain Jack is both.
Yeah.
Captain Jack is both.
That's a bit of a silly supposed rule because I think it's been broken more than once. And let's be honest, the Doctor's been known to steal more than once in their lifetime. Come on. So,
he stole the TARDIS, for starters.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, the key to time, not technically theirs.
You're literally riding a stolen vehicle, Doctor. That's like imprisonment.
I think the episode does kind of hint, though, that they probably still would have traveled together if she hadn't kind of done off like, nah, I don't need you. But yeah, it's a shame. But so you're saying hit for the character in the one appearance.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Andy, if you're still awake.
Yeah. You say that again, I'll punch you.
Through the computer?
Through the computer. I am that powerful. So I actually rewatched Planet of the Dead. I was about to say recently. It wasn't recently. It was like maybe this time last year. But I remember really, really enjoying it. More than I remember enjoying it. I think that's the most I've enjoyed that episode since it first came out. And yeah, Christina's still definitely a hit. I will say I don't agree that she should have become a full-time companion. I'm quite happy that she was a one-time companion. However, in the episode we did have her in, because I haven't done any of her Big Finish stuff, I really liked her in it. I thought she had really good chemistry with David Tennant, but who doesn't have good chemistry with David Tennant?
Okay, fair enough. I think I don't necessarily agree that she shouldn't have been a full-time companion in the sense that when you look at the companions that got one season, I think she could have been a very interesting one-season companion at least. But yeah, my opinions, again, quite boring for everyone.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I really liked the character. I liked Planet of the Dead when it came out, and then I remember everyone else started kind of crapping on it, and I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. It's a shame. But yeah, I thought the character was good, and obviously Michelle Ryan is a fantastic actress. Anyway, so that's always got to be good. I probably should look into the audios and stuff, but it's always so expensive. So maybe if there's a sale or whatever, I'll check some of them out. But like I said, it's a shame because there was potential there for that character, but in that one appearance, I would definitely say hit. So yeah, 3 hits again. So number 5 out of 10 here is the Cybus Industries design Cybermen. Hit or miss, Xander?
2006. Brilliant. Again, they were until we got Ashad, the lone Cyberman, they were the best cyber design, in my opinion. Nightmare in Silver I would happily throw off a cliff because they are rubbish.
Yeah.
They are absolutely disgusting as Cybermen. They're awful.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So, but we're not talking about the Nightmare and Silvers. We're talking about the Cybuses.
Yeah, no, I drifted off. Hit for Cybus.
Awesome. Andy?
I agree. They're definitely a hit. I have quite a lot of nostalgia for that one, just because it was like my first Cyberman design. Obviously, when the show first came back, so I do have a lot of nostalgia for. Of the modern designs, it is the best one. However, I don't know if you'd count the redo of the Mondasian Cybermen in World of Time. Because if you count that, then that's the best modern cyber design. But yeah, they're still a good design. I do like them. I have a lot of nostalgia for them. So yeah, it's still a hit.
Awesome. I'm with Xander. I think one of the best modern designs is Ashad, which is obviously like it's a Frankenstein's monster mishmash of various types of cyber parts. But I also really liked, I can't remember what they were called now, the Cyber Warriors from when we reviewed Ascension of the Cybermen. I think that's a really good design as well.
Yeah, that was a quite cool design because it kind of mixed the old and the new.
Yeah, it probably could have done without the spikes, which were a little bit too much like, we're extreme. But other than that,
yeah. I definitely, Ashad was really, really cool. Really interesting character.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of people have been posting things from because the I think it's Eagle Moss figure of Ashad came out this week. And in the magazine, it's got like diagrams and schematics of which parts are from which Cybermen and stuff, which is really interesting because I wish they'd kind of release something like that around the time of the episode so we could, because you can't really see it on air as such, but it's a nice touch. But yeah, regardless, I'm going off tangent here, and I'm going to say for the Cybermen, and I'll qualify this a little bit later, but for now I'll say,
well, yes, tick.
Yeah, I think I'd go soft hit in that I like the design. I like the way they move and everything. I like that they sort of seem menacing. What I don't like is the uncertainty of how exactly they assimilate people, for want of a better word, because I don't love the idea of, well, it's just scooping out the brain and sticking it into a robot body, which seems to be what Russell T. Davies was going for the majority of the time. But then you also have things like Cyberwoman or the Pandorica Opens, where that's kind of rather blatantly disregarded, and it's very much like just a person in a suit kind of thing, which I think I prefer. So I don't love that side of things, but yeah, the actual overall design I've got to go hit. So yeah, 6, which you guys may not be as familiar with. I know I'm definitely not an expert, but number 6 is the character of Charlotte Charlie Pollard from the Big Finish audios. Xander, have you any experience with Charlie?
I've heard a few of her audios. I've heard Storm Warning, which was the introduction.
Yeah.
I've heard Storm Warning. I've heard I've heard some of Swords of Orion. As I said, I've heard all the Storm Warning, and I like her. I like Charlie Pollard. I like her. So, hit. But I need to listen to more audios that she's in. I know the last one is The Girl Who Never Was. That's her last one.
Yeah, I know. I haven't heard any of the stuff where she starts traveling with the 6th Doctor and doesn't want to tell him about his future and stuff like that, which I'm sure is probably interesting. But yeah, I haven't heard any of it. But
I've got them all in my library. I've got a lot of them that features Charlie. I just haven't got around to listening to them yet.
That's fair enough. Have you heard the Chimes of Midnight, by the way?
Chimes of Midnight is one of the ones that's in my library. Yeah.
Oh, I highly recommend listening to that. I was thoroughly impressed, and I'm quite picky when it comes to the Big Finish stuff, but that's probably the favorite of all the ones I've heard since I've been kind of diving in. So, and that's a Charlie story as well. But yeah, Andy, have you any experience with the character?
No, I'm sorry. I'm such a bad Doctor Who fan. I haven't really listened to much Big Finish. I think it's because there's like just so much of it.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know where to start, and it's trying to afford it all. Which is also like one of the reasons why I don't have any of the box set, like the season box sets they're bringing out, just because money.
Yeah.
But just going off of what you did say, I can't remember who it was, but someone did recommend that Chimes of Midnight was a great place to start with Big Finish, just because it's one of the best ones apparently. So
yeah, I would, having listened to it, I would say maybe listen to Storm Warning first, then the Chimes of Midnight, because it kind of spoils that, obviously. And that way you get the introduction of Charlie and then kind of the big storyline. But yeah, it's an interesting, a great story. But I will tell you the one that I started with, which I think is a good place to start, which is Spare Parts, like the Fifth Doctor Cyberman origin type story.
Spare Parts is fantastic.
Yeah, it's completely. You didn't need anything else. It's just Fifth Doctor and Nyssa. You don't need any sort of backstory or anything, and it's a brilliant story. So I recommend that because that's where I started. If anybody's interested, but yeah, I'm the same as you. I mean, I only ever tend to buy them if they're on like extreme sales or whatever. I haven't really paid full price for anything except the Time Lord Victoria stuff, and even then it was only like £7. But if anybody is interested, as a sort of public service announcement, the first like 50, I think, of the monthly adventures are free to listen to on Spotify if you happen to have that, which I do, but I haven't got around to it yet. I will though. So yeah.
I didn't know Big Finish was on Spotify. I might have to check that out actually, because I do have Spotify. So
yeah,
it's the first 50. That's it.
Sorry?
It's only the first 50.
Yeah, it's the first 50 monthlies, but there's a few other random ones as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, interesting. And yeah, always do keep checking the Big Finish site because, I mean, sometimes there's some absolute bargains. I mean, I've picked up 2-hour-long things that I haven't listened to yet, but like Master stories and Davros stories for like £1.50, which is pretty good. So yeah, recommend checking that out when you can, and always keep an eye on what sales and stuff are going, or if they're giving away anything for free. But you know, again, I digress. When it comes to Charlie, I will say,
Fantastic.
yeah, I like the character. I don't want to spoil it in case Andy or anybody does jump in, but I love the kind of nature of how the character comes into the Doctor's life and what that entails, shall we say.
The only thing I really know about her is that she's from the past.
Yeah.
Isn't she?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't really want to say too much because even the slightest thing, I would probably spoil something pretty big.
Okay.
But yeah, Storm Warning is the kind of one where you're like, wow, that's an interesting way to introduce a companion. And then as we go on, there's kind of that intrigue in the background. But I also think India Fisher is a great actress who does a really good job. Her chemistry with Paul McGann obviously is brilliant. Again, I haven't heard the ones with Colin Baker. It could be great. It could be terrible. I don't know. But what I've heard, yeah, I definitely say hit. So yeah, I think that's 2 hits and a don't know. So that's not too bad for Charlie. So we're getting through these. Number 7 out of 10 is simply Bessie, the car. Xander.
Reliable.
Yeah.
Very strong hit. Bessie's a lovely little car. And at the end of the day, John Pertwee did love his gadgets.
He did. He loved cars and things, and you've got to respect that from the man. Yeah, absolutely.
Strong hit.
Awesome. Andy?
Yeah, I've actually seen a fair bit of John Pertwee. Bessie's great. She's iconic. I don't know how you could dislike her, really. She's cool.
Yeah. Well, again, this is going to be a quick and boring one because
Absolutely fantastic.
I love Bessie. She's charming. She's lovely. You know, like I said, you can see the affection that John Pertwee has for like old-timey motor cars and stuff. And like you said, she's just iconic. I do think she's easily better than whatever that second thing is that Pertwee loves. The HoMobile, the sort of bizarre, futuristic-looking thing, which isn't to disrespect that, but Bessie, I think, she's another level of class, and it's a shame that we haven't had an appearance of any kind in New Who by Bessie, because I could just picture Capaldi maybe scooting around in her, and it might have been quite cool. But,
well, if you ever played Doctor Who Infinity, the app game, Doctor Who Legacy on the app game, they actually did have Capaldi in Bessie running away from the sidekick. In the awesome. There's an animated picture of it. It's brilliant.
Oh, cool. See, they knew. It just knew. Well, that's 3 strong hits, I would say, for Bessie. We're all fans of classic cars. Number 8 is the secondary console room from the Tom Baker era. I hope I'm naming that properly. The one that's kind of wooden and stuff.
Yes, from the Mask of Mandragora.
From then and then onwards, really. Yeah, it's a few episodes. So, yeah, Xander, your thoughts?
Really lovely console room. I love it. And they really should have brought it back, but I think it's gone forever. Lost at Winds of Time.
Man, I love hearing your incredibly Yorkshire take on things that are deep and philosophical.
Ah, yes.
Lost at Windsor time, lads. There's not much we can do about that.
Lost at Time.
In all my bought naturals.
But you see, you're a fan then, definitely, yeah?
Yep, big hit.
Awesome. And
Yeah, I think it's a really pretty set. I love the detail of the 3 stained glass windows as well. It's just such a pretty set. It's an interesting take on a TARDIS as well, because so many of the ones are more all futuristic looking and techy, whereas this one almost looks like a church in a weird way. But I do like it a lot. It's a nice design. So hit.
All right, awesome. So that's 2 strong hits for that one. I'm tempted to move on because I'll just have to say to you both,
I'm so sorry.
I'm not a fan. I don't love it. It seems like it's so weird. It's not like I always say. I'm kind of the futuristic sci-fi-ish type guy, and it's so far away from that. It feels like they've just shoved Tom and Liz into a closet somewhere. You know what I mean? The whole wooden theme and everything. It jars with me. It's just a personal aesthetics choice thing, but for me, I'd have to say miss. I prefer the main console ones.
I feel like the secondary Tom Baker TARDIS walked so the Paul McGann TARDIS could run, because they're quite kind of similar aesthetic wise with the whole sort of woody, almost library sort of feel to it. But Paul McGann's definitely does hit that a little bit better. Oh, Paul McGann's TARDIS. I'm just looking at it now, and Paul McGann's console room is so gorgeous.
I love Paul McGann's. I mean, you've probably seen a picture of me in the Paul McGann console room, courtesy of some fancy photography in the console that travelled around conventions. I love the McGann TARDIS because it's like steampunk and it's still kind of sci-fi elements, whereas. And it's just, I don't know, there's something about the Baker secondary console room that just seems small and cramped. If it was bigger even, it might have helped, you know what I mean? But no, it's a miss from me. But again, 2 hits and a miss. We can't really say that it's getting too savaged, I think. So number 9 is the character simply of Martha Jones, which I don't think we've discussed yet. Apologies if we have. So Xander, hit or miss for Martha?
Strong hit. She's she was a really, really good companion during 3rd series. Can't think of anything wrong with her, so strong hit.
What about the slight appearances in the 4th series as well? You a fan of those or not?
Yeah. She was good in those episodes. She was good in Torchwood. She was just overall good companion.
I almost forgot the Torchwood stuff actually, but yeah, great, awesome, strong hit then. And Andy, Martha.
Absolute hit. Love her. Probably the most underrated New Who companion, I think. It's either her or Bill. But yeah, Martha's freaking great. And I love it. Her exit is one of my favourites in the TARDIS because it wasn't tragic. And I love the way that she leaves. I love the line that she gives the Doctor and the whole sort of way that she goes about doing this sort of story that seems to come out of nowhere of her flatmate like having a crush on a guy who obviously didn't like her back, and then she sort of relates it back to the Doctor and just sort of tells him, "You've kind of treated me like crap, so this is me going." Yeah, I love that, and it makes her such a strong character. Yeah, I love Martha. Absolute strong hit. She's brilliant.
Awesome. Again, can't really disagree with anything. Martha is
absolutely fantastic.
I love the character. I think I kind of agree with the comments that I know Freema's been making lately, which is that there was more potential there that wasn't explored, which is a shame.
I'd agree.
But what we did get is brilliant because Freema's she's a fantastic actress. She's not a bad looking woman, which doesn't hurt as well. But everything. She's in my favorite probably episode of all time in Human Nature and Family of Blood, and she completely just crushes that role, which would have been difficult in other circumstances. The combination of I'm in a crap time for racism and I'm in love with this guy who loves someone else and this is the wrong time, and there's a lot of weight on her shoulders to carry that. But yeah, and as you said, the whole idea of finding her own strength and walking the world and saving the world on her own terms. And, you thought I was second best and I'm actually amazing, so I'm out of here.
I think it says a lot about her character that I like her as much as I do, even though the series kind of really, for lack of a word, shafted her a little bit. the series very much did treat her like, oh, she's the rebound companion. She's not Rose, and the Doctor did that as well. And
Yeah.
I found that really annoying because, like, at least for me personally, I think Martha's a much better companion than Rose. So
Yeah.
I found it kind of annoying that they treated her like that.
Yeah. I think that's almost the end. So one last one, which might be a bit of a weird one, and that is the characters of Joshua and Abigail Naismith. Hit or miss,
Oh,
Xander.
please. Who?
Exactly.
No, I know who they are. But it's literally a who, because they literally do not have any plot at all to end at time.
Yeah.
Miss.
Yep.
Like Kevin De Bruyne's penalty against Liverpool. Miss.
Don't be bringing sports into a geek podcast, man.
It's too straight for me. Take it back.
I know, it's like you're speaking Spanish right now or something, man. Get out of here. But no, that's fair. So yeah,
Strong miss.
You're thinking strong miss. They didn't have anything to do, and you probably they're not very memorable. So fair dues, Andy.
Yeah, agreed. Miss. Not very memorable, and they're kind of a tacked on plot to an already cramped and pretty crap episode. I've said this on the podcast before. I hate the end of time so much.
Can we please pick him, please? Because End of Time is one of the best regeneration episodes out there.
It's underrated in terms of the hate it gets, but I absolutely see where Andy's coming from in that it's a little flawed now when you look back. But yeah, it's not bad by any means, I think.
Miss. Literally the only purpose they served to the story was to have the weird immortality machine for the Master to take advantage of. That's all they did.
The gate is waiting for you.
Yeah, miss.
Yeah.
Get your pitchforks here. Get your pitchforks.
No, it's all good. I mean, speaking of the End of Time, though, that is pretty much one of the top ones on the preliminary list for Series 3 of the podcast, because I'm aware that...
Oh, God, don't make me watch it.
It's so controversial. So, yeah, and I really do like it. I could watch it any amount of times, and I think Will's kind of leaning towards, it's good, but yeah, anyway, I shouldn't really speak for him when he's not here. But yeah, when it comes to when it comes to Joshua and Abigail Naismith, absolutely terrible. Like you said, they're there. I get it, to create the immortality gate, but you could have just said that was a Vin Voce thing, or is it Zocchi, whatever the green things are.
Vin Voce.
Yeah, you could have just easily, there in the story already, you could just say it's technology they had or something. The Naismiths, they come out of nowhere, they don't do anything, they disappear, and in the end, it's just like, and one of the worst things is that they criminally waste the actor David Harewood, who's fantastic. He's great in Supergirl, if you watch that, as the Martian Manhunter, and he's an awesome actor, documentary maker, director, and yeah, he's basically a cameo appearance who does nothing in this story, so I think that's kind of unforgivable. So I'd say also strong miss. So yeah. And as I said, when it comes to the other character, Abigail, I couldn't really name you anything particularly about her other than that character's daughter. That's about all I remember. So, yeah, well, that concludes the hit or miss section in a decent little bit of timing. So yeah, any last minute thoughts on any of that stuff before we move on to the review?
The End of Time is terrible.
Oh, one of these days I'll figure out how to mute people on this and then just do it too. Oh, hang on a sec.
Yeah, can we hurry up and do that, please? Because his opinion is no longer accepted.
Yeah, he's muted. Don't worry, he's not coming. He's not going to be chiming in for the rest of the show now. So yeah, joke. There we go.
we must apologise, fans of the End of Time. Our co-host is a little bit crazy this morning. Well, today even.
Number one, I'm the co-host. You're the guest. Don't start with me. I'm taking it.
Oh, he's pulling rank already in episode 2.
Number two. You're gonna mute me. I'm just gonna nap.
Yeah, that was a risky move.
You guys can do. You've muted me. You guys can do the review. I'm gonna grab a pillow and catch some Zeds. And if you unmute me partway through, you'll just hear me snoring.
But then you can't give your 2 cents on Suave Git Havers, then, can you?
Suave Git Havers. I kind of love that. That is quite funny.
Oh, bless. But yeah, so but without any further ado, then we'll move in and we'll mention the episode that we're reviewing, which you'll have seen. But this is the Day of Love, of course. It's Valentine's Day, so we will be reviewing the episode from the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Before we start, though, some unfortunate... Yes, wedding bells, not at all sinister. So, yeah, as I said, before we start, though, just a little bit of business to get that's a little bit unpleasant. And just a forewarning that there's a content warning or a trigger warning, if you like, for transphobia and bigotry. As you might know, the episode's writer for this episode, Gareth Roberts, is extremely problematic, to say the least. He's become infamous for unprovoked tweets that are frankly absolutely abhorrent and inexcusable. The torrents of bigoted transphobic abuse. And we at the Hit or Miss podcast find them, we've discussed this, and we find them sickening, appalling. And we want to express that by reviewing an episode with his name on it, we are in no way endorsing or supporting those vile acts, views, or that person. Trans lives matter, trans men are men, trans women are women, trans rights are human rights. These aren't just buzzwords or pithy social media slogans. They exemplify that for too many people, just living your truth can be dangerous and daunting. The statistics are horrifying and depressing. Identity is a struggle that I know I've personally had in many different ways, and one that people can, a lot more people than you think could probably relate to. Nobody should have to find that struggle made harder by anyone for any reason. And on a similar note, I'm also aware that Alexander Armstrong, who voices Mr. Smith in this episode, as he does throughout the series, has also publicly come out in support of J.K. Rowling and her rather backwards views on trans people. As I discussed with my co-host Andy, I just wanted to mention that we again don't support or endorse him in any way. I don't have time for privileged straight white people defending each other's bigotry. I don't agree with it, and in the strongest terms, I condemn it. I don't want it to be believed that we at the podcast have anything to do with any of those people. But what I did want to finish with was to say that we did discuss it and decided to go ahead and talk about this episode anyway, because there's more people than just those two involved. In particular, it's a fantastic performance by the late, great Liz Sladen, who we don't want to see her work erased, quite frankly. She's brilliant. The directors of the episode do stellar work, the producers and everyone else involved. But I did want to finish my particular 2 cents here with a quote from a friend of mine called Crystal on Twitter, who is at Arsenic82. I've spoken to her and got her permission to use this and to shout her out, but she put it probably more succinctly than I ever could when she said, "Separating the artist from the art means being able to appreciate art that has been created by shitty people, not supporting shitty people because you like their art. And in case anyone is confused, continuing to consume more art that they're being paid to make is supporting them." Now, that's not me, attacking you if you feel morally you can still sort of buy things from some of these people or support these people. I know it's a struggle for some people, and I'm not here to tell you what your own morality should be. That's just my personal views. Obviously, it's Crystal's as well, but I wanted to make that clear. And once again, in the strongest terms, just because we're looking at an episode written by somebody who is a bit of a disgusting creep, I wanted to put it out there. We're distancing ourselves as far as possible from anything he's pretty much ever said. So either of you guys want to chime in on that now that I've said all that?
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't want it to seem like, as I've said, I've discussed with Andy, certainly at least, and with Xander as well. I didn't want to make it seem like this is me, by the way, soapboxing, like, oh, I speak for everyone because I'm a straight white guy. I know that Andy, you know, as a gay man, you've probably experienced your fair share of struggles and bigotry, and yeah. So
yeah, but I'd argue trans people have it harder than I do in today's society, which is awful because, you know, it's just. I don't understand the mentality of just not letting someone live as who they are, be who they want to be. It's just, why does that offend people so much?
Yeah, it's disturbing, and the historic parallels are even more worrying. And like I said, it's disgusting, and the statistics, when you look into it, you know, the death rate, the murders, the attacks, they're horrible. It's an ugly thing, transphobia, like any form of bigotry. and we have no time for it on the podcast. But yeah, so that's some horrible, ugly business. But we will move on now and leave that behind and say that that's the last time we'll mention. Certainly, that I'll mention either one of those names, the actor and the writer. But I will talk about the episode otherwise. And I think my co-host and our guest here will do the same. I believe we both pretty much enjoyed rewatching. So if you're happy to, I'll get straight into it and start our notes on part one.
What if I'm not happy for you to do that?
Then
sorry, I've just been a knob.
then I'll mute you. You'll go to sleep, and then me and Xander will finish the review. Oh, bless you for bringing the mood straight back to where we normally are. Bless you. So, yeah. Anyway, Andy, are you happy for me to take the lead on this story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. If you want to chime in at any point, do. But I've got the notes in order as we normally do them. So yeah, starting with part one. This is a bit of a general one for Sarah Jane, but I did make a note that I really like the intro. By which I mean the part that's like, oh, Bannerman Road is where Sarah Jane Smith lives. And
yeah, that was really cool. Was that a new edition for Series 3? I can't remember when that was first introduced.
I don't actually know. Any ideas?
Series 2, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of always been there, but I like that it's kind of...
The only reason I think it's Series 3 is because they never did it when Maria was in the show, and Rani only joined partway through Series 2. So unless they started it partway through Series 2, I feel like it would have been a Series 3 thing.
Oh, maybe so. Like I said, I just like it because it fills you in on who all the characters are, what we're doing here, and it's still kind of fun and funky and youth. So, yeah, and I also like the Sarah Jane Adventures credits because they're very much like a slightly female version of the Doctor Who credits with the like pink swirling vortex and stuff. So I like it. Anyway, it's good knowing what you're getting yourself in for, and it's good to see Elizabeth Sladen given her sole sort of starring credit because she
before we get into the main part of the review, I just wanted to say that I rewatched this with Phil the other day, and he came up with his own tagline for part one, which was it was just in reference to the part where they're about to sit down and have dinner with Luke and Peter. And Phil just said, "Oh, Sarah Jane saves the day and still has time for main course," because it was that part where like they're at the restaurant and Rani calls to ask her what's going on with this weird slug thing, and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Smith will sort it out." And Phil said that, and I was like, "I will make a note of that. Thank you."
Yeah, it's not untrue, but I mean, having said that, I don't think we can really credit Sarah Jane with the fact that 3 kids and a robot dog do the work for her. But regardless. So starting the episode, we get straight into it. We see the attic, which again, it's a general thing, but I love that set. I love that it's kind of crowded and representative of their kind of hectic, adventurous life and their minds. It's full of alien stuff and cool little Easter eggs and things. It's fantastic to see K9 because it always is, and I won't hear any slander of the robot dog on casters. He's brilliant. I like that there's immediate sort of intrigue, and we're straight into the kind of the meat of the episode with a fast start and the kids spying on what Sarah Jane's up to, which is neat. It's a neat way to get us hitting the ground running. And it's so ridiculous, but I really do kind of love the fact that K9 and the computer don't get on.
Yeah, one of my notes is that I love K9 and Mr. Smith's jabs at each other. I just think it's really entertaining.
It really is. The sarcastic comments between them, because it's just funny. And the fact that the show, I think the Sarah Jane Adventures must be aware of how kind of corny and cheesy K9 looks, because when they ask K9 to probe something and that ridiculous like probes thing in his nose just extends and it looks absolutely ludicrous, I'm like, they've got to be aware how stupid and funny this looks, surely. But yeah.
I did also have a note just saying that, I adore the attic set. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it didn't get. I don't think it gets nearly as much credit as it probably should when it comes to people talk about the changing.
It's Sarah Jane's TARDIS console essentially. It's really pretty. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. People talk about the changing TARDISes and stuff, and nobody really mentions that. But the attic set is fantastic, I think. So, but it's also a slight note from this scene is. That when Luke tells Mr. Smith, "I need you quickly and quietly," and he's able to do that. Like, do that all the time, dude. You have to have a slow, like epic fanfare. And
I'm sorry, if I was a mechanical, if I was a crystal alien trapped inside of a computer, and I only got to come out like once every couple of days, I'm having a bloody fanfare. I actually did genuinely have that as a note though, of why doesn't Mr. Smith do this more? Because you'd think it'd be more convenient.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, I know, Xander, to what you said, I did hear about, in Soul and Earth, they do make that joke, and it is funny at the time. Like, why do you keep giving that fanfare? Because until then, we didn't even know it was necessarily...
I don't remember that bit, and I've seen Soul and Earth plenty of times. When does that happen?
It's at the start when Luke goes, it must have been an atmospheric, whatever, sciencey term. He goes, Mr. Smith, I need you, and the fanfare goes, and he goes, I do wish you'd stop giving that fanfare. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I vaguely remember that. Okay, it is, I like
that. It's pretty funny, but yeah. So anyway, so if there's no other thoughts about that, I know that we're now on to the part where the kids are spying and they see Sarah Jane and Peter. Is it? Are on their date.
One bit. Sorry, I didn't realize we'd gone over this. I do love the Sonic lipstick gag in the car. That's really cute.
Yeah, I did skip past that. Yeah, when she almost uses the Sonic instead of regular lipstick. Yeah, we get the rather typical kind of cliched response of kids when we see Sarah Jane and Peter kissing about like, oh, people are really
kissing. I put a bit about that. I was like, the grossed out reaction to Sarah and Peter's date is a little bit annoying to me now that I'm grown up, but it does make sense that they do that for a kid's show because that is how a kid would react.
I guess, yeah, but it's kind of... What I do like in that scene is, and I presume it's a director's decision, that when we get nothing sinister within that at all until we hear the TARDIS noise, which I think is an interesting choice, because that scene would otherwise be like, why would I care? They're on a date. Cool. So...
I remember as a kid when this first aired and I heard the TARDIS noise and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I was getting really excited, and I made a note of the fact that it really helps to build the suspense throughout the episode because you hear it a few times.
Well, it does, and I'll get into it now because I did have it as a note for later on. And I'm the same, I got excited every time. But then when you watch the episode and you realise that the first episode spanned about 3.5 weeks, how long was the TARDIS trying to break through?
Yeah.
How long did it take him? They hear it 5 or 6 times in the space of 3 weeks, and it's like, come on, dude, you can do better than that, surely. Yeah.
I did like, however, that Rani wasn't quite mature about the date. Because Clyde was the one that was really grossed out, and then Rani was like, "Oh, come on!" She,
I'm not a fan because, and again, it's a note that I have later on, but I'll just say it now. I think it's cliche as anything that it falls down the gender lines in that way. That it's kind of like the boys are all love, and the girls like, no, I'm all for it, and I'm like, I could have done without that. It's almost too stereotypical.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I was just happy that at least one of the kids wasn't being like, ew, gross, like adults kissing.
I do think I prefer it though when Luke kind of comes more on board, and it's like, all right, now I buy it. Because it's a young boy supporting his mum is a lot more than just I'm a girl, so of course I support love. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just me.
No, I get that.
Did you have any thoughts, Xander? I saw you trying to talk there.
No, I totally agree.
Awesome. So then, obviously, we have Sarah Jane coming back into the attic, and I've just said, yeah, Mr. Smith is definitely a snitch. Doesn't even try to disguise the fact. And K9 obviously needs an update to his privacy software, shall we say. He's terrible at keeping secrets as well.
I think that sequence is so funny.
It is, but they're both
Did you just say he needs a VPN?
He needs no VPN.
The next part, I've actually gotten a bit serious for a second, so you'll have to indulge me and apologize. I was just, I stopped almost paying attention to the fact that I was reviewing, and I've just written, Liz Sladen is just so captivating. Her performance here, along with the music, really sell her being in love, despite the fact that we've only really seen 2 minutes of this. I was completely on board, even through K9's clinical description of it and Luke's kind of cynicism. I think Elizabeth Sladen is just absolutely breathtaking. So
I have pretty much the exact same note. I love Liz so much.
She's so good. It's such a sad loss. And you can absolutely believe, you can see how she kind of more than carried her own show and deserved it. So, yeah. You a fan of Liz Sladen, Xander?
Absolutely, 100%. She truly is one of the best actresses that ever was in Doctor Who.
Yeah, easily everyone's favorite companion, I think. I shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. We get another quick burst of the TARDIS noise, which I probably could have said more about, but I'm a Doctor Who nerd, so all I've done is write TARDIS in capital letters and then underlined it and put 3 exclamation marks.
I did just before I forget, because I make notes when I like a particular line of dialogue. I do like the line where I think it's Ron. Says, "Who's the lucky fella?" to her, and she says, "His name is Peter, and yes, he's very lucky." And I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet. I like that. That's funny."
Oh, I didn't even notice that line. That's really good. Oh, bless. Sweet. The next thing I noted was another directorial thing, which was that throughout part 1, there's a lot of shots of people where the camera's looking at them through the mirror, which seems like a lot of kind of, it's a comment perhaps on identity and self-examination, but also on the kind of nature of maybe reality and, reflecting, I don't know, good and evil or life and death. Maybe I'm looking way too much into it, and it was just that the director was like, you know what, let's not look boring, let's look through a mirror. But that was my thought. The next thing...
We go to the scene in the bedroom, don't we, with Luke?
I may have skipped over it, because I was trying to make kind of as quick notes as I could, and I know that if there wasn't really anything that I had to say, I would have gone past it.
I just thought that I think the conversation between Sarah and Luke in his bedroom is really sweet, and kind of... I don't know if realistic was the right word, but it seemed very grounded in reality. The fact that, like, his mum, I know she's his adopted mum, but she's still his mum, is having this conversation with her son because, she's got a new person in her life and she wants to sort of let him be involved in that. And I think I love that conversation. I just think it's really sweet. And I think both Liz and Tommy play it really well here. You get it throughout the entire show anyway, but I love their dynamic as like a mother and son. I think it works really well.
I'm glad you said that, because I didn't want to just keep making the same note, which would have just been praise. But yeah, I'm pleased you brought that up, because it's a great scene. So awesome. So the next
Xander,
scene...
any thoughts?
No, again, agreed.
If we're talking over you, please just tell us, because I feel really bad.
No, it's fine. Don't worry.
That sounded so passive aggressive. He's like, no, it's fine, don't worry. And he's sat there with his arms crossed going, stupid twats, don't
Xander,
I don't think like that. Don't worry.
Why did they let this gobby gay on? He just talks over everyone.
No, Xander only responds to negative criticism. If you really want him to respond and chime in, just go, and this scene is great, much better than anything in A Christmas Carol. And then he'll spring to life and attack you.
Yeah. Yeah. Try doing that. See where it gets you.
If you're going to do that, at least pick a bad episode like The End of Time.
Oh!
You're going on top of him in the coffin.
Oh, no, I'm going down Kylie's reactor. Damn it.
Oh, no, why am I?
That's going to be the on-running gag of the season, you know that, Mike.
No, even though it's so stupid. It's so ridiculous.
My genuine next note, because I'm so stupid, was... Because I think it just, the 3 weeks later cut there. Or it might have been 3 days. I think it's there.
I guess 3 days.
It opens with a shot of sort of the outside of 13 Bannerman Road with a Royal Mail van. And because I'm silly, my genuine note is Royal Mail delivering a parcel safely. Well, at least it's not Hermes.
Yeah, Royal Mail can sod off. I'm actually annoyed at them at the moment because I'm waiting for me.
I've opened a can of worms.
I'm actually waiting for me box set. That's the thing.
What, the 50th anniversary steelbook?
No, Earth Story, the one with the gunfights.
Oh, got you. Okay.
That's who I need for the bloody collection, and this bloody seller off eBay has got me pissed off.
Yeah, it's very unrealistic because we both.
This is the most mundane tangent ever. Doctor Who, where's my bloody parcel? Doctor Who.
It's the most passionate that Xander's been about anything so far. We've been talking about the episode. He's like, yeah, it's fine. The Royal Mail. Don't get me started on Royal fucking Mail.
You wanted a sudden reaction, and it wasn't going to be
true. Yeah, you did say he reacts more to negative criticism. Just annoy him. Just make him criticism that pisses him off.
Well, you're both going in coffin.
That box set is going to turn up battered and bruised.
Oh, don't say that, man.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for saying that now.
Yeah, man.
You're both going in coffin anyway for your opinions on Christmas specials.
We're going into nuclear reactor.
Hey! I never gave my thoughts on A Christmas Carol. I think it's the best Christmas special, so...
I don't mean
come
the
at me.
Christmas Carol. I just mean Christmas specials.
Right?
You know what you did.
I only criticised
You know
one
what
of
you
them.
did.
Well, yeah. End of Time's not that bad. Just saying.
It's better than
moving
Doctor
on.
Who in the wardrobe.
All right, that's quite enough out of you.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next scene.
Before I get started on Last Christmas.
Sorry, Andy, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Oh, the irony. I love Last Christmas.
Oh, I do
No,
too. Awesome.
It's crap.
Well, now I'll have to meet you.
This is how sleep deprived I am and how little my brain filter is working. Xander just yelled, "It's crap," and I nearly went, "So's your mum."
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry, Xander. I'm glad I stopped myself.
What do you work for the Royal Mail or something? Jeez.
Yes, I do. And I tell you what, your box set is not going to arrive. It's going to be stuck in a van, decaying for the rest of its life. Oh, well, this was a damn tangent. I shouldn't have made that note.
Anyway,
the next bit I put, just to try and move us on before I keep going. I just put the scene of Luke in the mirror working out what he should call Peter is really sweet.
It is.
And again, kind of grounded in reality, because I feel like that is kind of what someone would do in that situation. You would be confused about, this new man in your mum's life. Well, do I call him dad now? Or, when does that happen? I like that.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of what the RTD era does best in the sort of the mundane kind of stuff about interpersonal relationships, but it's important.
Yeah, RTD always does the human stuff really well.
Yeah. So my next note that probably won't help to bring us back on track, I've just literally written Havers, you suave git, because he pulls up to the house in like a fancy sports car, carrying, a bunch of roses, looking dapper in a suit, all just like, hey, how's it going?
My next note is just that I love Geeta. I know that she's very much a comic relief character, but I find her so entertaining.
We're going to have words then, because my next note, other than to say, first of all, hashtag SuaveGetHavers, get it trending.
That should be a subtitle for this, episode 2, hashtag SuaveHavers.
Nice. Maybe. So, yeah, no, I've said, obviously, we've got our first hints of anything alien with the kind of thing from eBay that Sarah Jane was getting collected by.
Can we just appreciate that she ordered an alien off of eBay for a moment? That package arrived.
No, because she receives it promptly on time in an undamaged condition, so it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. It's actually the most realistic thing about it. Not the fact that it's an alien, the fact that she actually ordered something off eBay and it arrived undamaged and on time.
That seller got a positive review.
A+.
Lovely chrysalis alien. Would order again. 10 out of 10.
Whereas if it was me, I would be writing C-. Arrived promptly and on time. Turned out to be terrible CGI. So
I'm glad you made that note as well.
Parcel never arrived. You cheating git.
It's kind of nice that we get our first hints of anything alien to move the episode, but I think that this B plot that's inserted here is just too silly for me, and you're gonna probably kick me out of the podcast forever. But I've just said Geeta Chandra is a regretful kids comedy character, and I do not like her. She jars horribly. I get it's a kid show and you kind of need that, but it's like I don't think you do, and it's one of those things where. Going back to even, this is again a bit of a tangent, but going back to even when I was a kid and I was first watching like Power Rangers and you had those scenes with like Bulk and Skull turning up and getting up to hijinks, I was always like, this just stops the episode dead and we don't need it.
I like, maybe it's because I was a kid when this aired, so I have nostalgia for her, but I like her. I completely get where you are coming from. Yeah. Like, I feel like if I didn't have that kind of attachment, then yes, she would great. But I find her quite endearing, and her being a nosy cow does lead to my favourite comedy line in the entire episode, which we will get to in a little bit, because it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is just me. Like I said, I wasn't a kid when I watched it, but it's just those things. And the sad thing is that the actress, whose name I should remember and don't, is actually a really good comedian. She's been good in like Goodness Gracious Me and other stuff. So I know she can do comedy well when it's not as broad, but... Anyway, Moving on, we then get K9 upstairs saying he's going to activate his hover mode before we cut.
The actress is Mina Anwar.
Mina Anwar, that's the one. I knew it somewhere in my head. So yeah, we see K9 say he's going to activate his hover mode to go downstairs, which explains how he's able to move about, but also notably happens off screen because we haven't got the budget for that.
Yeah, and then I love the fact that he has this hover mode, but then gets stuck on the pavement.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that it is absolutely believable that when he appears, Luke just says to Peter, "Oh, it's just the latest toy from Japan," and it's so believable. In fact, it's kind of like, actually, if anything, he's a bit basic. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was about to say. No offense to K9, because K9 is great and I love him, but yeah. I feel like the sort of retro, almost, for lack of a better word, almost cheap look of him kind of really helps sell it.
The fact that he kind of trundles and wobbles as he's even just crossing the road. Like, he can defeat aliens, but a road, like a curb is going to stop him.
It kind of reminded me of that line in Dalek where Adam says, look at that, what was it, like, the greatest killing
death machine defeated by a
flight of stairs. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, it always brings me back to School Reunion, which is the show. I know it's kind of, some people don't like it, the show commenting on itself, but they're absolutely right. He is so disco. He's so like, really, this is as advanced as you get. But then again, it's still infinitely better than whatever that flipping Australian show mess regenerated him into. So we'll let him go. I've complained about that show far too many times on this podcast.
I don't know which show this is. Which one is it?
An Australian spin-off just called K9, which the creators of K9, Bob Barker and Dave Martin, made it, but they don't have the rights to anything else from the Doctor Who universe other than K9. So in the first episode, K9, as we know him, basically gets destroyed and activates a regeneration mode and regenerates into something that looks like a modern-day kind of toy dog. But
oh God!
Yeah, you're looking at it now, I guess.
What the hell?
Yeah.
He looks like, those sort of remote control toys you got that were like the walking dog things with the floppy ears. Yeah, he looks like one of them. That's weird. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's got no charm or personality whatsoever. It's crap.
They gave K9 legs. They gave K9 legs.
Yeah, once you remove the casters, it's just not the same, is it?
Well, I need to delete my internet history. That's disturbing.
I just think, like I said, sorry to you, Andy, in particular, but I could do without all this whole slapstick business, chasing the alien around.
I completely get it. The alien, I feel like, and I made a note of this, with the whole bit of chasing the alien, whilst it is, at least for me, it was fine and kind of fun, it does very much feel like it was, for lack of a better word, padding out the runtime.
Exactly. It kills the momentum of the episode, though, and it really jars because it very much is like we had an episode written and we needed to fill the sort of first half.
I made a note that if you take out that subplot, not a lot really happens in this episode. It basically just establishes
I'll get to that.
Peter is in their relationship. But yeah.
I'll definitely get to that because
I do love the next scene though, which is when Ronnie and Klein investigate the house.
Oh, well, first of all, there's the scene. Well, I love the next scene because I said it's horrible and I'm not liking the slapstick. But then we get the scene with Luke, Sarah Jane, and Peter when they're out to dinner together, and it's completely different. It's great.
That was really sweet.
Why they felt the need to put in the ridiculous slapstick type stuff when you've actually just got really compelling dialogue between three actors, on a personal level is.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder what the episode could have been like if they'd taken out that part and just had spent more time developing their dynamic.
Yeah, or even, like you said, because it was my next note as well, more time investigating the mystery. Because it is really intriguing when they're like, yeah, we've scanned him and he's definitely not an alien, but yet nobody's living here. There's paper on the windows. What's going on? Do you know what I mean? So, and then, again, I think it's probably a directorial decision, but intercutting the kind of sinister what's going on in this house revelation with the proposal. Because it builds up your tension quite nice. And then you also see the ring glowing as well. So at this point, hang on.
I have a couple of notes about the proposal that, first of all, quite an obvious one. I think Nigel and Liz have really great chemistry in this, from the get-go. Genuinely, even though the relationship, is kind of, for lack of a better word, short-lived, we only ever see it for these 2 episodes, even as a kid, I genuinely believed in their relationship, and even by the end, when you know all the reveals and stuff, I think it still does hold true that you can genuinely tell that these characters do love each other, which is so sweet.
That's just
kind of impressive that they managed to do that in such a short span of time on a kids show as well.
Well, that's just great casting. Hashtag Suave Havers.
True. Yes. And then my next note, I don't know if you'll have picked up on this, Mike. Xander might have done. I don't know. In the moment where he gets down on his knee to propose, the music that plays is a keyed down string version of a track from The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith.
Oh, I didn't. I don't notice music type stuff, but that's fantastic. That's fascinating. Awesome.
So the piece that plays... Oh, Xander, are you still here? Just because I'm noticing no audio. Okay, cool. Right. So the track from The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith that I'm on about it's a piano piece that plays when Eddie and I can't remember her mum's name. Oh my god, it's completely off my brain.
It's no good asking me. I don't remember.
When her parents sort of like realise what's going on and sacrifice themselves, and they have that moment around the pram where they realise who she is and they have that big hug.
Xander says Barbara is the character's name.
Barbara, thank you so much. Yeah, it's Barbara and Eddie. When that scene happens, when she's like really upset because she realizes that her parents are about to go and die, essentially, and they left her with her. The music that plays there is like it's a really somber, sad piano piece, and what they've done here is they've taken that exact same melody but keyed it down and played it in strings, so it's a bit more subtle. But I like that because it's kind of alluding to the fact that, because that's also a Trickster episode, so I feel like that was kind of a smart choice to allude to that.
Very, very clever. Awesome.
Was I right in hearing that they gave baby Sarah Jane to Sarah Jane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are any of you two not realising how that's wrong?
No.
I mean, they didn't. It's not a paradox because she doesn't hold her or anything. But basically,
where's the Reapers? Rose did it.
Have you seen The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith, or am I spoiling it for you? You have? Okay.
No, I've seen every Sarah Jane episode.
Okay, cool. So basically what happens is when they drive off, because they know that's how to defeat the Trickster because they were supposed to die,
yes.
When they drive off, and Sarah says I think it's like a couple of episodes before that, because they were really building up to this episode, should have been the finale, she mentions that... she remembers that they left her just on the side of the road with someone, but she doesn't know who it was. And then at the end of that story, you find out that it was her that they left her with. It was her adult self having gone back.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, it's kind of different because, again, it's like the baby's left with the person, and it's just like Father's Day, quoting Ninth Doctor, don't touch the baby.
I mean, she doesn't. At least we don't see her touch the baby.
The show does this all the time.
I hope not, otherwise the Reapers would have gone to town.
It's kind of weird, yeah. The Blinovich limitation effect is only ever in place if the writer wants it to be. There's countless times when it should have.
Anyway.
Just imagine if they did it. It was like 1950s school fete. Oh, we're having a nice fete.
That would be really cool. But yeah, the point is, I picked out that the music was the same as Temptation, but keyed down and in strings. I was quite glad I picked up on that. I heard it, and then I told Phil, I'm going to pause that and put it back, because I wanted to double check that I was correct. And then I ran both melodies sort of side by side, and I was like, nope, definitely right.
Cool how the episode takes a turn into sinister there with deactivating Mr. Smith and Sarah Jane seeming mind controlled, and then obviously, as if the music was too subtle, which it obviously was for all of us, you then hear the Trickster's evil laugh echo through the attic, which is like at that point, yeah, we know.
I did say I think that bit's a little bit too on the nose.
Probably, yeah, but yeah. Speaking of which, we then get to the actual wedding scene,
which is ironic because he doesn't have a nose. Just before you go ahead, I did make a note as well. Just after the proposal, I love the fact that when the restaurant starts to clap because oh, congratulations, you're getting married. Sarah doesn't. Her response is to like shy away and hide. She hides behind her hand, and I just love that little character detail that Sarah doesn't want the attention. I like that. Awesome. Anyway, yeah. So now we get to the wedding.
So yeah, the first scene in the wedding I don't like because I've just got written here. It's sledgehammer exposition for the show explaining why there's no guest stars there, because it's very much like, well, oh, what, the doctor wouldn't be here? How am I going to email Metabolus 3? And, oh, the Brigadier would be here, but he's in Peru. And, oh, don't forget her other friends are in... You know, and I was like, we don't need this, do we?
I like the callback to Metabolus 3. However, just two specific lines of dialogue I wanted to point out here that I really liked. One comes from Luke, which is when he's talking to Clyde, because Clyde's still really skeptical, and Luke says, just because your dad turned out bad doesn't mean mine will. I like that, because it's a callback to Mark of the Berserker and all the stuff that happened with Clyde's dad. And then second is my absolute favourite comedy line in this entire two-parter, which just kind of come at the thanks to Geeta. She's going around the guests and she sees someone, and I think she says she knows where she works, but she says, I can't remember her name. And Haresh responds by going, oh, you must be slipping. Yeah. And I love that, because it's like a really subtle dig by going, oh, it's your fault for being such a nosy cow, isn't it? Like, I love that. I think it's such a subtle little joke, and I loved it.
Fair enough. I could live without that kind of thing, but if you like it, then that's cool.
No, I just liked the subtle humour of that line. I thought it was delivered really well as well, because he was so understated. It wasn't like a big, oh, this is a joke. It was just a, yeah, I like that line.
Yeah,
anyway,
I do want to mention as well, before I get pulled up by one of the audience, because I probably will, that I'm aware that, yes, the Brigadier was supposed to appear in this episode, but Nicholas Courtney had fallen ill. So that's probably why they felt they had to write in an explanation for why he wasn't there, which is a shame. But yes, I do know the intention was to have him in the episode, which would have been nice, because we could have actually had some interplay with the 10th Doctor and the Brig, who never really got to appear with the modern Doctors. But again, sadly, life gets in the way sometimes.
We had him in the previous series, though. We had him in the finale, Enemy of the Bane.
That's what I'm saying. He was supposed to return for this episode after having sort of appeared in Enemy of the Bane, but unfortunately fell ill and wasn't able to do it. So. Shame. But no, the next thing is a bit of dialogue I like, because it's on the nose whilst not being like, hit you over the head with it. And it's when I think it's Geeta asks Peter where they're going on their honeymoon or whatnot. And then something along the lines of, well, the wedding will be nice, but what happens afterwards? And he just says,
oh, it's like the honeymoon is a surprise or something like that, isn't it?
He says afterwards is a surprise. Like
afterwards, okay.
And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, and then I've actually legitimately put the note: gorgeous outfits, hair, makeup, etc. Liz is stunning. So is Anjali. It's all great. The likes of, like I said, the people, hair, makeup, wardrobe, whoever it is.
Yeah, I did have a note that Liz looks absolutely stunning, as does Anjali. As does Tommy.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I also added that I think the set is really pretty.
Yeah, the set, I made that note later, which, I'll just say it now. Yeah, the church, well, it's not a church, but the wedding reception set is actually really, really cool. But going back to the scene of like everyone arriving and sort of seeing the outfits and stuff, I've also noted they're clearly hinting at Luke being impressed and fancying Rani when she appears, and I was like, yeah, that didn't age well.
Yeah, I made that note as well. That's a little bit jarring to me, because I was sort of like, well, we know what they intended to do with Luke, so why did they have this bit happen?
Yeah, I think that's lack of communication in the writer's room, maybe, because now that scene's kind of like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gay.
Yeah, that scene's quite redundant now.
Yeah, but
if Clyde had have done that, it had made more sense.
I think yeah, absolutely. But I think they were, I couldn't really say because I haven't rewatched any others around it, but I think they were kind of trying to hint at the coupling of Rani and Luke in series 3 and then just abandoned it completely at the end of the series. But I could be wrong, as I said. It may be just me. Again, I like the way that the wedding hall is shot, as well as how the set looks. It's great. And then the TARDIS sound, and then my favorite Doctor appears, Tennant with 17 exclamation marks. Yay!
I know it's really cheesy, but I do love the fact that he came in on the line, that the famous line of, if anyone has just cause or reason why these two people should not be born. I can't remember the full line, but like, I know it's cheesy, but it had to be that line. It had to be that line.
It did, but I said I love that K9 is like master, and Tennant jumps in. I don't love the fact that Tennant could, instead of running in and saying stop this wedding, could have went activate the wind machine, because that's basically all they do for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah. Quick. It would have been even better if we'd have just gone I object, because that's traditional.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been kind of cooler, but I did just put the Doctor in exclamation points, because even now, like knowing it's coming, it's still such a cool moment. And as a kid, I remember my mind was like, "Oh my god, it's David!" And then I also just put, I love the reveal of the Trickster as well. It's very sinister, and I love the music.
I love that the Trickster's in white as well, which we'll get into
Yes.
because of the reasons for it in the next episode I will go to. But yeah, I love that that's...
He's clearly listened to Billy Idol.
Yeah.
It's a nice day for a Trickster wedding. Moving quickly, because again, we're running really, really low on time.
Yeah.
The disappearance of everything is kind of a cool cliffhanger, but it's the next time trailer that really hooks you into coming back, I think. So, and then I've got just written my conclusion on my score. But first of all, do you guys have any more last notes before we get to that on part one?
No, I've done all mine.
Xander?
No, I don't have anything. Just I love the Trickster. He's not my favourite villain, because that goes to Nightmare Man, but he is my second favourite villain.
Fair enough. It's interesting. Some love for the Nightmare Man. Yeah?
I'd say the Nightmare Man is the best one-time Sarah Jane Adventures villain. He is very cool and very creepy.
It's Julian Bleach. What do you expect?
Yes, true. But the Trickster is so good, and the fact that he hasn't appeared in Doctor Who is criminal.
Well, yeah, but obliquely he's kind of his brigade, as you want to say.
Yeah, they've appeared, but like I feel like the show is really missing out on not having him appear.
I think the design of that character looks a little bit too kids TV though, and don't get me wrong, I love it. But if you look at some of the, and it's out there in the world, the concept art for how it could look, which is way more sinister, I think that would probably fit.
I am going to look that up. I'm very intrigued.
There's some of it where it's like it doesn't quite look, because like the Trickster's scary, but he does look a little bit puppety. And there's scenes like it's a concept art of him with like barbed teeth, and if you think about how scary you can be with a sort of thing without a face that's just mouth, there are far scarier versions and sort of more adult-looking versions out there. But yeah, anyway, regardless. So yeah, if we're all happy to, we'll go into our conclusions and score for part one. And why don't we start with you, Xander? You're the guest. So.
And I say it's a very, very strong episode, so I give it a strong 8. There's bits of it that's good, and obviously, apart from the bastard Royal Mail, but that's overall, it's a good episode. But it only gets an 8 because of the alien in the hospital. Yeah. Is that really worth it? It's just a giant slug that came from the Royal Mail. They're the true villains.
Indeed. Awesome. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for part one for you. Andrew, have you got a conclusion if you're not busy looking up 6 stuff?
I can't find anything, but I'm intrigued to find some. But
I'll try and find some stuff and send it to you.
I gave it the exact same score. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and my note was, it's a slow burn that does a great job of establishing the story, even if not a whole lot happens in this particular episode.
Okay. My conclusion was a surprisingly poor first episode, which starts fast, then treads water with slapstick nonsense that doesn't fit, and an intriguing mystery that's just a bit too undeveloped. It's a criminal waste to tease the Doctor for weeks in their time and just barely have him appear at the end, not to mention not revealing the threat until then. The K9 banter, the acting, and Liz hold the episode together just enough, but it's not great. I give it a 6 out of 10. So apologies for that, everyone. Don't worry, it gets better. We'll move on to part 2 before everyone starts attacking me and say that, if you guys are happy to, we'll move into part 2 and say that I think it says a lot about the previous episode. This is the last time I'll diss it, that the previously montage, the what previously happened last week is about 30 seconds long, and it's just the last scene. So you literally didn't need any of that until that. I like the special effects of the disappearing guest. I think for a kid's show, it's actually really impressive. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. I've just put the Doctor being the Doctor. Tennant just killing it straight away. Referencing Stolen Earth with Luke. It's nice to meet him.
Yeah, I put that was a nice callback.
Yeah, and Tennant is just so great with the 3, for want of a better word, child actors. I know they're probably not kids, but Tennant's immediately like straight into chemistry with them and acting like companions and sort of. I love it, and
I also love the really cute way he interacts with K9, where he goes, "K9, he was a good boy." It's so cute. That's exactly how I talk to my guinea pigs.
I put the same note. Yeah, the same sort of joyous K9 that's from School Reunion as well was a great callback. And the best line in both parts is that when they say, "Oh, well, Sarah Jane was right about you. You're as fantastic as they say," and the doctor says, "Journalists, they're always exaggerating, but I'm pretty great."
Yeah, I did like that line.
I do like it. What about you, Xander? Anything from this first scene with the doctor and the kids?
No, again, it's brilliant. The fact that he obviously reintroduces K9 and it's all good. It's like, yeah, no problems.
Awesome. Yeah, I like how how eerie the white void looks. It kind of fits the tone of the episode, the sort of near-death experience kind of thing.
I did put the CGI shot of the building looks awful though.
I didn't even notice, but I'll take your word for it because some of the CGI
it does not look good.
Fair enough.
Like,
I see what you mean now. I see what you mean when it's just the building in the void.
Yeah, it's when they look out the window and it shows you the building with just the white void. The building does not look good.
Yeah.
But I did put that the time trap is a really cool idea.
Yeah. I think I excused it because it's kind of like it's ambitious enough and it's just enough unreality that you're like, yeah, fair enough. Maybe it started looking cartoony because of the time trap. I don't know. But I've also made the note, and I apologize if this derails us, that when they ask the doctor what's going on, he genuinely uses
I'll explain later.
I think it's brilliant. That is such a great callback.
I made a note later on, but I also love that someone actually calls him out on it this time as well.
Yes, yeah. Oh, man. I love it. Go ahead.
So in this part, I also put that I love the chemistry that Tennant has with Tommy, Angeli, and Anthony. I think it's really good. Yeah, he has good chemistry with everyone.
He does.
But here's my fun. The last episode's fun fact was the music I picked out. This is today's the fun fact for this episode. So I made a specific point when we were rewatching it. I was like, why did they specifically pick 15 or 3 because 24-hour clock? Why did they pick 3:23:23? Because they say it's 23 minutes and 23 seconds past 3 p.m. So I looked it up. 32323 is an angel number, which is what Peter refers to the trickster as.
I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Bizarre. Okay. Now we know.
I can't help but feel like that was a specific attention to detail now.
That's definitely deliberate, yeah.
And I've never thought of that before, but I saw it and I saw the number and I was like, that is a very specific number to choose. So I looked it up and I was very surprised to find out that. So that's cool. I like that little detail.
Awesome. Yeah. I think Tennant's the man. He's perfectly the doctor in all of his scenes. He said Alonzi and I was like, yay. I think the TARDIS sputtering to try to get in and kind of phasing in and out is it's really cool and it's actually a really good effect. I thought anyway. And then I've said, getting onto your point, the whole idea of we're frozen in time and stopped in 1 second. Isn't that the exact plot of the Wedding of River song? It seems so weird because it just reminded me of that so blatantly.
Yeah, but this did it first.
And better, arguably. Yeah.
I did. I put the scene with Sarah and Peter when she's first realizing that things have gone wrong. I think they're really good in that scene, and I also love the music. The music in this episode is all very, very nice.
Oh,
yeah. And then I put I like the fact that Clyde calls the doctor out on the "I'll explain later" quip. And I love the shot. It's one specific one. I just put cool shot of the change between the different seconds, but it's one specific one I'm on about. It's the one where I think Sarah's walking through the reception towards the door, and as she hits the door, or as she gets to the door, she disappears and the doctor's fades in with the screwdriver, and I liked that shot because it didn't change camera.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
That was just a really cool little shot.
Awesome. And yeah, great. I've been over it before, but again, I get why there's lots of kind of white and whiting out of the screen. The whole motif of death and heaven and the trickster being in white because, of course, he appeared to Peter as an angel, which I think is such a cool usage of that character and how they can be manipulative in that really cool way. And then the doctor sort of calling that out later and saying, you've changed, change of outfit and then changing back to the black cloak. Interesting. And I think Tennant is great at exposition and just crushes it. And I love the really sweet scene when the kids say that she doesn't like being called Sarah. She prefers Sarah Jane, and the doctor said she doesn't mind by me, which is absolutely true. Tom Baker did that all the time, and it's really like heartwarming. Like, oh, bless. Liz, David Tennant, and Nigel Havers are all brilliantly sincere when they get to the scene together, which is the crux of the episode. They totally sell it for me, which I think is, the conflict there is so goosebumps. I think is the word.
Hold on, we've skipped over a lot.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We haven't yet, but I'm on about like the first time they kind of interact before the bulk of it. But yeah, or I've just written this note in the wrong place. but I love that. Sarah Jane kind of has the strength to pull the ring off and kind of reject it herself without any outside help. It's very, very much that character. We get the scene. This is just a random bit of Easter egg nerdery, but there's a scene where the 10th Doctor is calling up Clyde and Rani and says the line, "You two with me, Spitspot," which was the very last thing David Tennant ever recorded as the Doctor until the Day of the Doctor, which I remember reading somewhere because they said in one of the Doctor Who magazines that was his last line that he recorded. And then when it appeared in this episode, I was like, I remember reading that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so now you know.
Interesting. I've put. I've just mentioned that I think the Trickster's such a good villain, and I love the way he works.
Completely.
I put. I really like the what could be scene that he shows Sarah.
Yes. Again, though, that's just the family of blood, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, even the outside of the church looks very. I know it's the same set as they use in the episode, but it did give me heavy family of blood vibes.
It works though. If you're going to manipulate my emotions, at least do it with.
And then we get to one of my favorite scenes in both episodes, which is the scene between the Doctor and the Trickster. That is a very cool scene.
Yeah. I'm almost there, but yeah. So I've just said, I love I've already gone through this, but I love the genius tragedy about Peter thinking the Trickster was an angel. I love that they make a point of saying that Sarah Jane very much was in love before the mind control ring. The Trickster's a great recurring villain. Every one of his episodes are great, and his kind of brigade, if you will, have been in all three of the shows: Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane. Mm-hmm. Paul Mark Davies, the actor, is outstanding as the Trickster. I had to look him up.
Yes, he really is. Isn't he? He also plays the Silence, I believe.
Does he? Well, it's news to me, but okay.
Because in fact, I'm going to look it up actually. But as far as I know, because he's like ridiculously tall. Is it Paul Mark Davies or Mark Paul Davies? I always get his name the wrong way around.
Paul Mark Davies.
It is Paul Mark Davies. Thank you.
He's the only actor who has appeared in all 4 universes of Doctor Who. He's been in Doctor Who, Torchwood, Class, and Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yes, because he was the leader of the Shadakin, wasn't he?
Yep. Julian Bleach is a very close second, but he didn't turn up in Class, tragically. It was only in Doctor Who, Sarah Jane, and Torchwood.
I'm sure I saw a thing about him being the Silence. I might have been wrong. Huh. No. I thought he was the man in the costume of the Silence because they're quite tall, but maybe I was wrong. So maybe I think I read that somewhere.
He was the leader of the future kind.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Teeth in Utopia is Paul Mark Davies because it's same teeth. He kept the teeth, I think, for Trickster.
That is an interesting fact. I did not know that.
I'm still hung up. Chaser, so I know these things.
I'm still hung up on this, Xander. Are you telling me that Caracanus, the leader of the bad guys in Class, was him?
Yep.
I love that character. I didn't even realize it was the same dude.
Yeah, did you not know that was the Trickster?
Like I said, Doctor Who Chaser, I know this stuff.
Blows my mind, man. That's fantastic. Awesome. Oh, man, thanks for that.
I think then we get to the Tennant Trickster scene, don't we? Which I love.
Yes, we are on that now.
I love that he's back in black as well.
Yep. I made the exact same note and also made the AC/DC reference.
It's funny because I hate AC/DC.
No.
Sorry. But yeah, I love this scene so much. Mm-hmm. It's like I love this scene, but I really wish it just makes me wish more that we'd have had this scene in Doctor Who at some point because it feels like such a just such a clash of titans in a way. Yeah. I love it, and I love that they kind of just butt heads and just outwit each other almost. Like the Doctor will say something to the Trickster and sort of like, denounce him, and then the Trickster just comes back with something, and I love the sort of back and forth of this conversation.
I've made a note of the Trickster's dialogue to the Doctor because I think it's fantastic, which is that he says, "You are the Doctor, the man of ice and fire, the man who has held the key to time in his hands."
I made that.
Like children.
Yeah, the man who has lost everybody. You dare lecture me about loneliness when the gate is waiting for you. It's so epic. Like, even if you'd hate the end of time, that it gives you chills about like, whoa, what the heck is coming, man?
Holy crap! I'm sorry. I just made that connection because, like I said, I don't like the end of time. I completely forgot that that's what the immortality thing was called. I forgot it was called the immortality gate. Yeah, that line makes a lot more sense to me now. Thank you for that.
Yeah, they filmed that first, so that's what that was. Because obviously this was filmed after the end of time, but aired
before. Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool though. I really like it.
That's cool. I like that. I didn't realize that. Thank you for that. I also I love the Trickster's voice because even though it's kind of the opposite of the 456 that we discussed last week, where it's not loud and it's not commanding in the way that it's like a booming, deep voice. It's commanding in its eerie quietness.
Yeah.
It's like he talks and the way he speaks and the fact that he never raises his voice. He's always very calm and so sure of himself. It's so creepy and it works. Oh,
like he's very
the Trickster's so damn good.
He's very much sort of living up to the name. He's kind of the, I'm going to make a bargain with you kind of guy rather than... So I think that's the point you wouldn't really pick up on, like, oh, this person is blooming and evil and scary. It's kind of like, there has to be a... Yeah,
well, he does raise his voice in one aspect.
Yeah. Nice touch. I like it.
Just when he goes, Doctor!
True, yes, true. Now I'm just, because you said that whole thing about him like being there to make a bargain, now I'm just picturing a scene where the Trickster just goes up to someone and goes, "You want to buy a watch?" and like opens the club.
I think there's definitely a Mephistopheles vibe to the Trickster that I think.
I put the sorry, go on.
No, just like I said, I really like that it's all about clever bargaining, and that when he couldn't get to them directly, because that was the previous episode, was trying to kind of seduce, for want of a better word, Sarah Jane into something she wanted. He then was able to manipulate Peter with like, I can give you a second chance at life, but and I'll give you love and everything. But
I think it works really well in this aspect as well, because in the first two instances, he's like directly gone after someone in Sarah Jane's past, like he did Angela and then he did her parents. Oh well, her manipulating her parents. But in this instance, he's taken a seemingly ordinary, unrelated man and just plonked him in this kind of feud that he has, and it kind of makes the story all the more tragic, really.
It does, but it also is nice how it kind of ties very much into the themes of the day, which is the themes of love. And it's kind of like the Trickster thought he could use love to manipulate and to win the day, but in the end was absolutely defeated by that very love. So
yeah,
I love that. It's very much like, hoisted on your own petard, your own hubris is your downfall kind of thing.
I do love the idea, because in the first two, in the first one, for example, like they make a point of having Angela say like, I agree, like actually specifically saying those words. Yeah. And I love the fact that in this episode they make a point of saying that the deal is tied to the I do of the wedding. It really just ties it all together.
Yes, yeah. But it's also nice to have the actual symbolic I break the bargain line from Havers. #Harvey Havers. So I'm going to make it a thing, I'm promising. So, the next note that I did want to get into was that the Artron energy zapping Clyde when he touches the TARDIS, which made me wonder, is this really clever planning by Russell T Davies, knowing that we were going to get Death of the Doctor next series and that would feed into it? Or was that just a complete coincidence? Because I know that it's the solution in this episode about, that's how Clyde tries to attack the Trickster with the Artron energy and whatever. But it's so important to Death of the Doctor that I'm like, is that just like really clever? Oh, I've got this thing I can use, or is that planning ahead? What do you think?
It's Russell T Davies. I'd love to think that he did plan that ahead.
Yeah.
Just because Russell T Davies is a great writer. But even if it is just like a very, very like lucky, convenient, or like coincidence, I do quite like that as well. So it doesn't. Yeah. I like it either way, really.
What were you saying, Xander? Case in point for what? Why Russell T is a great writer?
I was going to say, case in point, Russell T Davies is a brilliant writer. It's a sin. Hands down.
I thought you were going to say the end of time.
And that too. No, I mean, it's a sin. The Channel 4 thing he did.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people raving about it at the moment. It's not really my particular scene. It's probably going to be a bit too devastating for me to watch in my current emotional
It's
state.
sad.
I did make a note of, I love the fact that we get yet another random TARDIS function that never comes back.
Which one's that?
That when the doctors talk about how he goes on like a techno babble about how the TARDIS is homing in on him through all the timey-wimey stuff, and I'm sort of like, is this ever mentioned again?
Well, again, that's
because that happens a lot. They always come up with a random TARDIS function that is then conveniently never brought back. I did put that. I do like how tense the scene is though when he's like fighting to try and bring the kids into the TARDIS.
Yeah.
But it then does lead into one of not my least favorite in the way that it's acted, just the way that it's edited. I hate how overdramatic it is when Clyde says, "No, I can fight him."
Oh, I disagree.
I hate it. I've always hated it, even when I was a kid. It's just the weird swelling of the music and the pan around. Every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, that's cringe. I don't like that.
I personally read into that something that I think they were going for, which is that they're very much setting up Clyde as like being like the Doctor for future. Like he's in the brown pinstripe suit and he's like, no, I'm going to face him down. And I was like, he's acting very doctor-y here, which again, I'm not sure if that's a deliberate full reference to like getting possessed by the 11th Doctor in the next episode where they're both together, or if it is just like this guy will eventually become, find his own power and become the hero. But yeah, either way. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing on Clyde's character. I think it definitely works for his character, and I like the scene. It was more just the way it was shot that bugged me.
Well, it is in that bad.
That's just a personal thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's just a personal thing.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm very conscious of time, so I'll just try and move us along. Yeah. Sorry if you want to chime in, either of you, especially you, Xander, you're very quiet. Then just chime in. Yeah, Tennant and Liz so awesome together. I've shared your note, Andy. The music really great. The episode is very kinetic and high energy because it's got Tennant in, so of course it is. It's really cool when the TARDIS and Clyde are kind of swapping in and out of that reality. And then you get to the bulk of the episode, which is the big scene about the reveal of what has been happening. That Peter was supposed to have died and is half alive, and the sheer tragedy of that. And then the line "Your love brought me back to life" is like a knife through the heart.
Yeah. I made a note of this anyway, but I was probably going to say it anyway. I love that we know how it's got to end, but yet it's still sad, even though we've faced the trickster twice now. We know how he works, and yet it's still as sad as it is the first two times.
Well, I can still remember the first time I watched this that I was genuinely surprised because I didn't pick up on any of that the guy should have died and the trickster made the bargain. And so I was going with the mystery. And so when that happened, I was kind of like, oh, that is a brilliant concept and a great idea. But also, you bastards, you're breaking my heart kind of thing,
Nigel Haver's acting in that scene is great as well.
#Suave Havers.
Sorry, Sandy, you were going to say something there.
No, we're agreeing.
Awesome. Yeah, I think like's the wrong word, but it's important. I think that Sarah Jane shows him the cost. And the next note I'm just going to read out as I've written it here, which I've just put in quotes. She gave me the strength, and then in big capital letters, here come the tears. Whoa.
It's funny because I kind of have a similar thing. The next two notes I have are just two lines that I loved. I love the line that she says to him when she's like clutching Clyde on her lap. And she looks up at him with tears and says, "I love you, but I can't love you." I'm like, "Oh, Liz." But then the line that probably gets me the most in this whole thing is after the whole dramatic climax of him throwing the ring at the trickster and breaking the bargain, and then he's about to disappear, and he calls her Sarah Jane Dalton. And I was like, "Oh no, that's so sad."
I didn't even hear that. Thanks for that, you git.
I love that. I've seen this episode so many times, and even the other night when I watched that genuinely made me tear up a little bit. It's so nice. It's so well acted as well.
Yeah, I just said I also think it's nice that it was love and it was real, but ultimately it was doomed. That's the tragedy of it. And the music, the direction, and the acting are just absolute perfection. Can't see anything else really other than that.
Yeah.
To getting towards the end, so now we're kind of getting back, and the bargain's been broken and everything. I've said it's another level of cruelty that they end up back at the wedding. There's not even a time reversal. She's just back there without him and has to kind of say to everyone the wedding's off and have everyone leave. Yikes. That's very...
And her acting in that moment is
Yes.
just phenomenal.
Yep. Yeah. It really sells like this is so cruel and so unusual punishment, you know. But yeah, so then obviously they go back to the...
And again, I was just saying, and again, the music in this moment is beautiful. It's one of my absolute favorite pieces of music from the entire show.
Awesome.
Is this piece that plays as she like leaves or walks down the aisle without Peter. It's heartbreaking.
Awesome. We're almost at the end now, so thanks for sticking with us, listeners. But yeah, then obviously they get back to the attic, and then the Doctor does turn back up, and they go into the TARDIS. I know it's cheesy, but I love Tennant's anger fake out when they're like, "Can we go into the TARDIS?" And he's like, "My TARDIS!" Yes, you can.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I love that bit.
And I see it every time we review one of his episodes, but I love the Tennant TARDIS interior. It's really awesome. I also love the line, "The trickster wanted to end your story, but it goes on," because that's really sweet, especially if you think about it on a real world kind of terms. It's cool getting the reference back to they couldn't travel with the Doctor anyway because they're grounded by the Jadoon.
Yeah, that was a nice continuity moment.
Yep. And the last scene, I don't know if either of you guys know this. I didn't, because I still haven't seen The Hand of Fear. But
it's a reverse of the lines.
It's a reversal of the exact dialogue. I went back and watched the scene.
I don't think I can ever forget you. Oh no, that's Clara. Whoops, wrong one.
She says like, "Don't forget me, Doctor," and he says like, "Oh, no one's ever going to forget you."
Which is
and she flips it around on him this time, which is all the more heartbreaking.
Yep. Especially when you think it's the episode before Tennant's regeneration.
Yeah, that's arguably why it's the most upsetting.
Yeah, exactly. But
the next time she sees him, he's going into his TARDIS, just about to regenerate and blow everything up. The idiot.
He does save Luke's life first, though.
Yeah. No, I don't criticize that. It's just a case of why did he have to blow up the coral TARDIS? I love the coral TARDIS.
I'm going to have another controversial opinion here. I don't dislike Tennant's TARDIS.
Oh.
I am very nostalgic for it. And maybe it's just because the next Doctor's my favourite, but I love Matt's TARDIS so much more.
Matt's TARDIS is crap.
I agree.
I completely disagree.
Matt's first TARDIS, the horrible orange.
Rubbish.
No, it's rubbish.
It's like we go from the coral TARDIS, which is just gorgeous, to this random tat that we then get for 3 series. Like, no.
I love it, and I'm entitled to that opinion.
You are.
Yeah,
sorry, Andy, to feel ganged up on, but yeah, I'm with Xander. I really don't like the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS. Love the second one. Love the blue one that we get later.
Yeah, from the Snowman. Yep.
Yeah, but not a fan of the first one. I don't like the orange. It doesn't really work for me. So anyway, moving on. And the final line, which I think sums everything up in a neat little bow for today. He's amazing, and so are we. And so are we, all 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, conclusion and score for episode 2, and then we'll do the overalls if that's okay. And we'll start with you, Xander. Conclusion and score for episode 2.
Again, same score, 8. Again, can't think of anything different.
Well, why would you give it an 8 then if you can't find any flaws? Why not a 10?
All right, fine, 9. I'll go up to a 9.
I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just saying, like, obviously, there's a reason why you didn't.
There's more trickster in it. There's more trickster in part 2, and I like the trickster. So,
what was there anything you didn't like though that would be like, oh, it's stopping me from giving it a great score, kind of thing?
Again, I have to agree with Andrew. The fact is that there's a moment in which it's overly exaggerated. I can beat the trickster, and proceeds to not beat the trickster.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Fair enough. So
he does kind of beat the trickster. He's the reason he manages to sort of bring the seconds together.
Yeah. Well, it's all good though. If you don't feel it, you don't feel it. So you're going 8 or 9, Xander. What do you?
9.
9 for part 2. Andrew, your conclusion and score for part 2.
My conclusion, I wrote a truly stellar episode that uses every moment of its runtime well, amazing performances from all the main cast, and is a musical high point for the show, and I gave it a perfect score of 10. I love it. I can't pick a fault. Even though there was that overdramatic moment, I don't think it detracts from the episode at all, like majorly. I think it's pretty much perfect.
Awesome. So my thoughts on part 2, I've just said that's more like it. Not a wasted moment. Brilliant acting, pace, action, tragedy, sci-fi, romance. The best Doctor and Companion. Heartbreaking sadness and epic magical heroism. Everything this universe can be. And I also give it a perfect 10 out of 10 for part 2. So 2 10s and a 9. But
so that means your overall score is an 8 and mine is a 9.
well, I did actually have a conclusion before my overall score, if you wanted to hear it.
Oh, sorry, go on. Yep, go ahead.
So I've said, forgive the cliche, but a real game of two halves. I was disappointed how poor and plodding the first half is when I rewatched it, especially comparatively. The story is mainly contained in that second part, but wow, what an episode that is. I wish I could go higher just for that, but to be honest, examined as a whole, my overall score was, yes, I mathematically worked it out, 8 out of 10.
Okay. Xander, do you have a full conclusion, or should I do mine?
Just you. No, I don't have a conclusion.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just do mine then.
Do you have we still need a final score, though, Xander?
Yes, we do need a final score.
Oh, hang on, I gave 8 and 9, didn't I?
8 and 9, so that'll be 8.5.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So 8 and 8.5 for the overall.
Yep. So my conclusion, I put an intriguing story which, while sticking to the tried and tested trickster formula, mixes things up enough to keep things interesting and surprising, has mostly slick writing and absolutely stellar performances, one of Sarah Jane Adventure's best. So I give it a 9 out of 10 overall.
Nice. So that's let's get this 8.5 and 9. So the average.
So 8.5 overall.
8.5. Pretty easy to work out. Yeah, it's a shame. I think the episode probably does deserve a bit higher, but it's that first part that dragged it down for me. When you look at it, like examining it along the lines of Death of the Doctor, where both parts are so strong, I think that first part of this one is just sadly letting it down. But anyway, so yeah, 8.5 out of 10 is our score for The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith on the Day of Love. Yeah, that's about it. Just time to wrap everything up now and say thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, comment, interact. Thank you very much for joining us again, Xander.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Woo!
You seemed very quiet, so apologies if we did kind of talk over you or talk too much, but I feel like it's one of those episodes where you liked it so much, it's kind of like I don't really have much to add except, awesome. So there wasn't really any argument like the last time you were on, but yeah, it's always good to have you, man, and your opinions are always welcome, and screw the Royal Mail. So
yeah. Mail.
Awesome. Anything you want to quickly plug or social medias you want to shout out before we go?
No.
Okay. Well, Xander's a good follow if you do fancy it on Twitter. Just look up his name. I will say that. And good luck. I hope you get your Earth Story box set with Gunfighters and the Awakening to complete the old collection. Hopefully you will. And of course, thanks again to my wonderful co-host, Mr. Andrew Kemp. Woo!
Hello, thank you. Woo!
Anything you want to shout out before we go?
Andrew Kemp on YouTube. If you fancy either watching vlogs or, more importantly, my music, because singing is my main sort of thing. So if you want to go hear me sing, I promise I'm actually okay at it, despite how I probably sound on the show. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go catch some sleep.
I was just going to say that, you go and get yourself some sleep now, man. And I've been your host, Mr. Michael Wilson, at Mike Wilson. Sorry,
since I was just going to say, since it's been announced on Twitter, can we now do the whole thing where we get to tell them what we're doing in the next episode, and we can be like, come and join us next week for...
I was just about to, yes. So,
go ahead.
I'll have to look it up first, though, because for whatever reason, my mind is completely failing me. Do you want to do it? Because I've completely forgotten. Oh, I've got it. Yes, join us next week. We're going to be joined by Abby Green, who is at Hoovian Girl 19, and she will be with us to discuss a story that is important to my life. We'll just say that. The Ark in Space, the Tom Baker classic.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, should be a good episode.
Ark in Space was one of my first classics I watched. And
yeah, well, same.
I'm hoping it holds up.
I'm saying nothing because I don't want to spoil, but just quickly, are you a fan of the Ark in Space, Xander?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really good, Tom Baker.
Before I forget, just before we do go, I knew I would, and I told you to remind me, and you didn't. Will's score.
Will score!
Bear with me. I'll have to scroll till I can find it. It's in my here somewhere. So yeah, Will at 2 Game Shows also gave a score for the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Again, it's not going to be counted for the leaderboard overall, but if you were curious, Will gave it a 9.5. So he actually rated it higher than any of us overall. As I said, I'm at Mike Wilson on Twitter, Michael Wilson on Facebook. I'm always around on here because I'm currently editing and putting out these episodes. Can't wait to see the reaction tomorrow to episode 1 when it goes live.
You can also find him in Nigel Haver's DMs.
Yeah.
Hey man, if he's got the level of money he displays here and he's going to start driving me around in fancy sports cars and stuff, I'm sliding right into them DMs.
You absolute gold digger.
I ain't
Mind
saying
you,
I'm a gold
if he
digger.
gets the money, he can get a NordVPN for K9. NordVPN.
And we're back full circle. Kylie's in the reactor, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Take care. Look after yourselves. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.